Hey y'all, welcome to Suppers and Soirees. It's Michelle Mize. I'm your host of Suppers and Soirees and the founder of Sun Cookery. I'm so excited to do this podcast today because our focus is a steak and wine night. Have you ever hosted a steak and wine night? Do you know what that is? Well, I have the perfect guest today to share with you how we created our own steak and wine night. And he's going to tell you everything behind it, how it got started. And so let me introduce to you my husband, Darren Sweet D Mize.
Thank you very much for that lovely introduction.
So, Darren, would you tell everyone listening to this podcast a little bit about yourself?
Sure, I'd be happy to. First and foremost, I am your husband of 15 years? No, 14 years. 14 years, 2000. Father to Maggie Kay Mize, our daughter. Business partner to Steve Mize, my brother, who is the one who brought us together many moons ago.
Sort of content.
Kind of. You were with him when I met you in a group of...
Oh, that's true. You came to pick us up.
At a business valuation conference instead of what I do. Avid sportsman, love college football, love good food, wine, love a good cocktail, love hanging out with you and all the friends that we have. And I think that's about it for me.
You surfed growing up?
Well, yeah.
There's like cool stuff about you. Share that with people.
Growing up, skateboard and surfer, no doubt. High school baseball player, college baseball player for a few years.
You like to grill.
Love to grill. Love outdoors. Love being on the boat.
And would you share a few of your favorite drinks from a few of your favorite places? Because we're going to be talking a little bit about cocktails and wine.
Sure. Love a good margarita, obviously. Tequila is one of my favorite spirits. Clear tequila, not the dark stuff. Sea Critters is one of our favorite restaurants, but also one of my, probably the best margarita I've ever had from a restaurant.
That doesn't really exist anymore.
It doesn't really exist. It's been changed. Exists in St. Pete. You can still get there by boat.
New name. Red, White, and Booze.
Red, White, and Booze. And they changed it a couple of years ago. Right after we left St. Pete.
What about here in Charleston? What's your favorite drink and place?
Well, funny you should ask. So Sea Critters being on the water, now that we're in South Carolina, my favorite place to go to is a place called Home Team Barbecue, which is the woodsy version of Sea Critters. So it's not on the water. It's not really in the woods either, but it's a barbecue place. And the drink of choice there is a Game Changer, which is basically a painkiller. It's a frozen painkiller, not in a blender frozen like
Frozen machine.
the frozen machine, or what's the other place in New Orleans?
TGI or no, Fat Tuesday.
Fat Tuesdays. Yeah, everybody, we all know the Fat Tuesdays. Fat Tuesdays had just endless machines that would make all these different types of frozen drinks, but not like a blender. It's just liquid and it's frozen, and that's probably
Liquid alcohol.
Yeah, pretty much. But still,
Let's be clear.
it's a great drink, and it doesn't even have tequila in it. It's got rum in it. It's got nutmeg. It's got orange juice. It's got pineapple. It's got coconut, and lots of.
Well, they do their
lots
riff
of rum.
on a painkiller.
Yeah, it's basically their riff, but it's basically the same.
It's become your favorite. But now, where's your favorite place in Charleston for a great margarita? Because we have found one, and it is on the water.
It is, and when we first got here, we went to a place called Islander 71. It's on the beach. You found it, actually. And they make this, their house, their top shelf house margarita is called the Captain. They throw a Grand Marnier floater on there, which is the way I like it. And I would say it's pretty close to a Sea Critters Platinum Margarita. And they're pretty close.
Close.
They're pretty close. Yeah.
Well, thank you. Well, and my favorite margarita there is the Naughty Mistress, which is such a great, they spell it like naughty, like nautical, like the Naughty Mistress. So it's basically a skinny margarita, and it's great.
It is.
Yeah.
It is. And you know, look, we haven't really talked about some of the other favorite places and drinks, but the gin and tonic is one of the staples here at our house. It's easy to make. People like it. It's make with fresh ingredients. Good tonic, good gin.
Well, that's another podcast.
That's another podcast, but we drink those all the time as well.
Well, thank you. I thought everyone should know because you're kind of my cocktail connoisseur in the house.
I am the director of wine and spirits at our facility here.
Oh my God. Why do I have you on this podcast? This is harder than I thought. Okay, so everyone's heard a little bit about you, and we obviously have a desire for finding the best cocktails, which is why you are our director of wine and spirits here at home. And speaking of that, like that kind of leads into like your role in steak and wine night, and that's why you're here today. I invited my husband on today because we have an amazing tradition of hosting each other, sometimes just hosting our immediate family, and sometimes hosting friends and colleagues and even neighbors to come over to our house for a steak and wine night. And really, it was the culmination of it's kind of a cool story. And you're actually the one that insisted we do this regularly, so it only made sense to have you on to talk about it. So why don't you share with everyone how it got started and what inspired us to do it?
Okay, so when we first moved to the Midwest, I travel a lot for my work. This was the first time that I think we had been together in a new city. And I was traveling quite a bit, and I don't remember where I was coming from, but I was coming from a work trip, and it was a Friday night. I think I got home at around, I rolled into the airport around 6:30 or 7 o'clock at night. It'd been a long 3 or 4 days. And we were communicating while I was on the plane, getting ready to land, and she said, "What would you like for dinner?" I said, whatever you've got that tastes good, because I'm hungry. And
feed the man.
So I feel like I rolled in around 8:30. I mean, it was dark.
I thought it was later than that.
It was dark. It was dark. Either way, I came in at the time. We were living in a small apartment, and she had prepared almost as I walked through the door, things were coming off and being plated, and it was
and this was before Find My Friend.
Yes. So I didn't. She didn't even know. I told her when I landed, and she had everything planned out, which is what she's good at. And that's what she's good at.
I'm just saying.
So I walked in, and she had prepared a steak au poivre with mushrooms. I don't remember what the side was, but she, as I walked in, we had you walk in, you go to the left, and there's this small bar, and the bar was so the lights were off, candlelight was on, dishes had been prepped. She had just plated the steak, and a bottle of wine in the middle with 2 glasses that already been poured. And I just thought that was the best thing ever. Coming from somebody who was used to cooking for himself for many, many years, nobody had ever cooked me a meal as I arrived from home. So being tired, being gone for 3 or 4 days, it was like the most incredible, warming thing I had ever experienced. And I just said, not only was the meal fantastic, I was hungry. She fed me. She got me buzzed with a bottle of wine, and we just had the best time just talking. Yeah. I think we sat there for 2 hours just talking. And after the dinner was over, we had some wine left. We just sat at the bar and we talked, and it was like the most special thing I think I'd ever been part of. So I just felt like that was something we needed to do on a regular basis, because it can be simple, steak and wine. And it's something you can do, and you can throw it together pretty quickly. And we've been doing it ever since.
Yeah, and that was 15 years ago.
15 years ago. And the biggest part of that for me was the ability to connect and talk. And we weren't a couple anymore. We were just talking. We were just shooting the bull, right? Cutting the fool, whatever they want to call it. Right?
Shooting the breeze.
Yeah, just shooting the breeze. And so I felt like that was incredibly important to our relationship and the ability to just get through a week. And that's when Steak and Wine Night became a weekly thing for us.
For us, but then it evolved.
It did. Well, everything starts somewhere. And by the way, Steak and Wine Night's it's not new to anybody. People do it all the time. I mean, our friends do Steak and Wine Night. But for us, specifically, it was less about the meal and more about the event. Now, that evolved into something a little bit differently as we evolved as a married couple.
Which we'll talk about in the P's and C's part of our podcast. Yeah.
But it was meat, potatoes for the most part, and good conversation.
Oh, and good wine.
And great wine. So, well, sometimes good wine, sometimes not so good wine. You fail.
We had a few mishaps.
Yeah. As director of wine and spirits, I would never say it was bad, but miss you flubs every now and then.
So I like that you just said, because you hit on things which is a really important part of Sun Cookery, which is we are here to inspire you to host for connection and not perfection. And you just hit the nail on the head, even though it was relative to you. What you said was it was how you felt, right? It was you had this warm feeling, and it allowed us to just talk. We weren't necessarily husband and wife. It was like, oh, great, I'm having a good meal and some good wine and just, shoot the breeze, right?
Well, I think what it was is that as soon as I walked through the door, whatever I was coming from, I just left behind.
You got disconnected.
I was disconnected.
You were disconnected from life.
The aroma of the meal.
Which you could probably smell coming down the hallway because we lived in an apartment complex, and I was doing steak au poivre, which is, for those of you who may or may not know, it's peppercorns, and you got to get that pan hot to sear it, and it can be, I think the fire alarm went off. I don't know. Who knows?
It was good, though. It was really good.
It was good. Okay,
It was great.
good. It was good.
Anyway,
Well, thank you.
that's how it started.
Well, thank you. But you have really been the catalyst for making it stay consistent. So even if we're out of town or we travel, we have on our calendar and it gets moved around on the family calendar, but it's booked for every Saturday night. But when we travel or something and we're not going to make it on a Saturday because we have plans or something, it might move to a Friday or it might move to a Sunday. Or if we're gone for like an extended period, we are having steak and wine night at a restaurant.
We are.
So, do you feel like sharing a little bit about a couple of those steak and wine, like maybe our place that we like in Mexico? You make sure we have a steak and wine night there when we go on vacation.
Yeah, I mean, I can talk about the steak that we get in a different part of this discussion if it comes up, but it's really hard to find a really good restaurant, any restaurant, I shouldn't say really good, any restaurant that serves a great steak. Now, maybe my flavor palate's been, a little spoiled over the years, but one of the places that we've gone to in Mexico has served one of my favorite steaks. Well, it's what's
Casa del Lago.
Yeah, but what's the type of the steak? How do they make it? How do they prepare? It's the Italian version of a blackened steak. What is it? You're
putting me on the spot.
There's a term for it. I forget.
I'm perimenopausal. So things just fly out of my head. Don't know.
Anyway,
back to it.
It's really good. But what we've learned as we've evolved in this is a good steak starts with a really thick cut of well seasoned thick cut of beef.
Yeah, but made with a lot of love.
Yeah, because the thicker it is, the longer you have to cook it, and you need that time to make sure that it comes out proper at the proper temp. But so that's one.
But the point is, when we travel or off kilter, we're not at home to do our own steak and wine night. We seek out a place. I mean, when we go to Chicago, we love going to. Chicago's full of steak joints. Yep. So steak houses.
Mm-hmm. We tried them all.
We have.
And so
we had a ball doing it.
When you do this for 15 plus years, you get resourceful in finding places that you believe meet the criteria of what you think would be a quality meal, but also quality vibe. And that doesn't necessarily mean it has to be a high-end steak joint. It can be, there's one place we've gone to, 5 O'Clock Steakhouse, which is probably old school.
Milwaukee.
Milwaukee.
But it's not called 5 o'clock anymore, is it?
I think it is.
Oh, is it still called 5 o'clock?
Yeah, 5 O'Clock Steakhouse.
Or Corpers. It used to be called Corpers.
Doesn't matter. It's dark. It's dingy. You've got
red velvet walls.
Rubbed velvet. You've got live music, but they go through the process of an experience of how they serve the meal from start to finish.
It's great.
And it's fantastic. And it's old school. It's 1940s, 1950s. It's no frills, but the food is fantastic. The steak is really good.
Well, then also Gina Giorgetti's in Chicago. Also old school Italian gathering in terms of like the people, the vibe. That's been around forever.
Yeah.
So when I moved to Chicago, one of the first places.
And wherever we go, we try to find something that fits that criteria. It's got to be what we think is going to be quality food. But the vibe has to be there as well. Yeah. Because if the vibe is not there, then it's not fun. And that's the whole purpose why you're going, is to forget about what you've done for the week or for the month or for the day or whatever, and decompress, have a cocktail and a good meal and a nice bottle of wine and connect. And that's what we do.
Well, awesome. No, that's great, because I wanted to share that because, we're going to talk about perfection versus connection in the steak and wine nights that we've done over the years. But I think it's really cool to share that, like, to inspire people listening, that whether yours is a pasta and wine night, whatever your night is together, like the fact that we committed to a weekly 15 years ago, guests are optional, right? Depending on what's going on in your life, what you have time for, what you have the budget for. But even if you're traveling, you make the time for it.
Sure.
You have you seek out that steak and wine night feeling. It's really about seeking out a moment and disconnecting from the rest of the world so you can connect with each other. And I think that's what I love about it.
Well, I think in our marriage, we've committed to one date night a week, and sometimes that date night is steak and wine night at the house, with no kids. The kids are off, doing their own thing.
They might be in the house. They're not allowed to walk in the dining room.
But they leave us alone for about 4 hours. Yeah. And we have our steak and wine night and our date night that way too. Sometimes we go out, sometimes we don't. But it's consistent. Yeah. And that's important, at least in our marriage.
And I just want to say before we jump into P's and C's, I think it's important for everyone who's listening or watching on YouTube that you understand this is coming from a guy's perspective. So Darren is a guy. He's a guy's guy. This was so important to him. And I'm not really sure for all of my hosting repertoire, I don't know if this is something I would have stuck to, but you keep me accountable to it and we do it. And it's made a difference in my life too, because of the people we've met and the stories we have to tell and all that good stuff.
Well, give you something to look forward to.
Yeah. Okay. So let's jump into, our P's and C's. Okay. So, are we more perfectionist or more about connection when we're hosting steak and wine nights? But this is all from your vantage point.
Sure.
Okay. So there's all these components to when we prepare for a steak and wine night. The first one really is the invitation, right? Who are we extending the invite to? What does that look like? Are we formal or fancy about it? How do you tackle that when a steak and wine night is in motion? Are you more perfectionist or just a connection person?
I think I'm more connection. I think for me, it evolves, right? So there are times when I feel like it should be perfection, and then there are other times where I feel like a verbal invite is just fine for me. I think it depends on who the guest is, right? So there have been times when there may be somebody important coming over.
Who qualifies as important?
Well, somebody that might become a new friend couple, or maybe a business opportunity that could turn into a friendship as well. You never know. I know. You know what I mean? I think it's fluid. Let's just say that.
But in your mind, when we invite someone to steak and wine night, it's just make the connection happen. You're not worried about the perfection of a perfect invitation.
No, I think when you have the time to prepare and create and send out and mail a formal invite, I think it's great. I'd love to do that all the time, but nobody has that kind of time all the time. So
okay, all right.
Maybe it's a hybrid. How's that?
Hybrid answer. Okay, no problem. All right, so you have your invites. What about the menu itself? Are you more of a perfectionist or more about connection when you're thinking about the meal for that steak and wine night?
I struggle with that.
I say nothing.
I think that in our teamwork of this event, I tend to lean on you a little bit more for that. I think I have my own vision of what I think this might look like.
Yes, you do.
And maybe 10% of the time a portion of that vision comes to fruition. So I'm back to connection on that.
On the menu.
Yeah, on the menu. I prefer it to be a perfect menu, but I come from the school where it's hard to be perfect in any facet of life. So in this case, I think I'm good with the connection.
Just throw the meat on the grill, open the wine. We'll see what happens.
Yeah.
Okay, I love that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, let's talk about decor, if you will. Mm-hmm. Okay. This is funny.
Yes. Let's talk about decor. Because you have an inventory that goes beyond most homes.
But okay, forget me. How do you feel about it? If I wasn't in the mix, would you?
I don't really care about the decor.
Okay, now we're getting somewhere.
I mean, I think the plates and the utensils should be nice.
A good night?
Yeah, I don't like, paper plates or plastic utensils. I like a good plate with a good fork and a knife and a good wine glass.
Okay, so again, you're just connection.
Yeah, I know. I shouldn't say that. I do enjoy a good napkin.
Oh, good napkin.
What do you think? I mean, is it a napkin? The cloth, a good cloth napkin. I do like that. Yeah. With the ring that goes over it. That's nice.
Oh, the napkin ring?
Yeah.
So that's important to you.
It is.
Okay.
'Cause I like a little color on the table, a little pop color.
Okay, this is great. Okay, so for all my male listeners, there's just a good fork, a good knife, good utensils, solid plates,
Good wine glass.
cloth napkins
Yeah.
important with a napkin ring.
Right. And the run, the
Oh,
runner.
now you like the runner. So now I'm okay. We're getting into this now. So I'm feeling like you're a little perfectionist around decor.
No, I like the one.
Because you just said runner. You know what a runner is?
Well, because you taught me that. It's not a tablecloth, it's a runner.
You like the runner.
But you like to put the cloth under it and then the runner top.
Okay. Let's move on.
That's where I fail.
Okay. So just basically no paper plates.
No paper plate.
Okay, this is great.
And a good wine glass. Yeah.
Okay. All right. What about entertainment? Are you perfectionist or connoisseur when it comes to the entertainment? So that could be music, conversation starters, games.
I like a good playlist.
Okay.
I'm a perfectionist on the plate.
You want a good
I like a good, because you have to, going back to steak and wine night, you have to set a good vibe, because I believe that the music promotes good conversation.
Okay, nice.
I do.
You think the music is behind that?
I think the music is a part of it.
Okay.
Yeah, the people obviously are important as well, but
Okay.
because conversation requires people.
Okay.
But the music, I think, is a big part of it.
Okay. Okay. Great.
So I'll go professional.
All right. Perfection. All right. And who curates your playlist?
You do. I'm not good at that.
That's why I asked.
Yeah, I'm not good at that.
I just wanted a little bit.
I'm
of
good at
limelight.
I'm good at the genre. I'm just not good at the details of what the genre entails.
Okay. All right. Moving on. But all right. Let's talk about this. This will be a fun one. Behind the scenes of the steak and wine night.
Yeah.
I mean, are we giving a house tour? Are we letting, are we pulling back the curtains and opening closets, letting people see what's going on? How do you feel about that? I mean, in all honesty, we've had a lot of scenarios, but how do you personally feel about the behind the scenes?
Yeah, I'm not a fan of it.
Not a fan.
No. I think you come in, you sit down, you start talking. One good bathroom in the main area of entertainment.
Okay. Main area. Okay. So you set boundaries for your guests, or you want to?
I think it's assumed. All right. You got to go.
So you're not giving a house tour.
No.
You're not about perfection. You're like, okay, so they need to have like an entry point, a sit down and eat point, and a bathroom.
Yes. Yeah.
This is great. Okay.
There's no time for a tour of the house.
People ask.
Yeah.
People have asked. Can you?
You can deny. I mean,
Okay, but you've walked people out to the back deck if you're grilling if you're grilling the steaks on the grill.
mhm.
You'll do that.
Some people will ask, can I help you, or can I see what you're doing out here? And
Yeah.
I prefer to cook alone, but
Even when there's guests.
when there's guests, because
Oh, but you're nice.
of course I'm nice, but the challenge that I have with my attention gets diverted, and if my attention gets diverted,
Steak
the
goes
quality
down.
of the steak is going down, and I can't have that. So I need to focus my attention on what I'm cooking.
Okay, wait. We are going to sidetrack for a minute because you just talked about the quality of steak, and I would like you to give a plug to your favorite steak, resource.
Yeah, it's NewYorkPrimeBeef.com. Ask for Frank. He and I are friends. You turned me on to them a long time ago, because the quality of my steak was not very good. I wasn't even cooking it right. But the source of our protein just wasn't good. Well, I shouldn't say it wasn't good. It's good. It felt like it was lacking. So what we've been able to get from New York Prime Beef in the Bronx in New York is short of incredible. I still have a hard time finding, even in a good restaurant, the quality of the steak that we get from them. There aren't that many places you've ever been that gives you that type of quality of meat. NewYorkPrimeBeef.com. That's for Frank.
Oh God.
So you can
get that. Oh, because I said menu. Okay.
Perfect.
Okay. Okay. So Thank you for that plug for Frank at New York Friendly. I would agree. I am the recipient of a lot of your fabulously, perfectly grilled steaks. And also a cook, so the ingredients matter. And the quality is fantastic. So anyway, okay, so speaking of steak, and let's get to the food and wine part of this.
Mm-hmm.
Are you a perfectionist for more about connection when it comes to the food and the wine? Like, what does that process look like? Are you uptight about it? Are you every last detail? What's the deal?
It's hard because I do want the food and the beverages to be perfect. It's important to me because it leaves a lasting impression on the people who you dine with. I'm not saying that a good meal is gonna make you a best friend necessarily, but you want them to remember the evening, not only the great conversation, but the quality of the food that you prepared for them. So it's hard to perfect. It doesn't happen often, but I strive for it.
Yeah. What's your steps to getting there?
Proper planning, time is important.
Okay.
And I don't know if you want to go into the details of that either, but it's when we're preparing a meal for somebody, it's an all-day process.
Yeah. Well, and finding the inspirations.
Sure.
For it.
Yeah, and that's sometimes that can be hard too.
What about when you're doing your wine selection for the meal? Okay, I know you're a perfectionist about it, so what's your process behind that?
Well, you got to start with what we're serving, right? And sometimes it's whether it's an earthy meal, savory, or is it something lighter? It's steak, right? Steak and wine. So typically most people go to a red when they pair with it. But we've had some rosés with our meal that's turned out really, really good. Yep. We've even had some white on occasions, depending upon the type of cut of steak that we're cooking for the meal. So,
well, I don't know if it was so much the cut, but it was more about the sides and the time of year.
Right. What comes with it? Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So, it's hard. Look, for me, it's a guess. I go down to our wine cellar and I look for what inspires me, what I think is going to work well, and it's hard until you open the bottle of wine and smell and get the aroma from it. That whether or not it's going to fare well. There have been some times where we've opened a couple and I've not made the choice, so we've had to go back and pick another. And then we just cook with that one instead.
That's right. Make a little sauce.
Yeah, make a little sauce.
A little accoutrement.
Mm-hmm.
A little shotski for everyone.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. Well, that's good. Thank you for doing that with me.
Mm-hmm.
It was very fun to hear your perspective on things.
Thought I could give it to you.
Okay, great. Well, let's see. So 15 years of doing steak and wine night in a variety of capacities. Could we dig in maybe just a little bit and share, do you have any core memories of a steak and wine nights that really have left a lasting impression on you, and why did they leave you a lasting impression on you? Well, the first, you described our first one, obviously.
That's a big one.
Right.
We've hosted a number of people in the last decade or so. None of those gatherings have been bad. They've been interesting.
Yeah. Well, no, that's what I mean. Share some that are like just you don't forget about.
One was when one of our guests spilled an entire glass of wine on the runner and the tablecloth, and
here we are with the decor.
Yeah, and a lasting wine stain that I think you almost got out.
Yeah, no.
You never got.
No. But there was more to it than that.
There was. We had many bottles of wine at that
I was going to say, let's tee it up.
Yeah,
it wasn't like a goofy flub.
No,
we were well into the night when that happened.
Probably fourth or fifth bottle. We're talking eight people.
Oh yeah.
So 5, 6, 7 bottles of wine is when things were happening. And when things get animated and hands start flying, you knock over a glass, and it was a full glass, by the way.
Oh no, we were all gasping. Yeah. If it was a good bottle of wine.
Another one was when we'd come back from Spain, and when we were in Spain, we had this incredible cheesecake.
The Lavinia cheesecake.
I can't remember where we stumbled across that.
Lavinia.
Well, yeah.
That's the name of it.
Was it the restaurant?
Yeah, Lavinia.
We were on a Pincho tour. And anyways, we got the recipe because they gave us the recipe,
yeah.
Right? And we tried to make it at home, and
We did make it.
We twice.
Well, I know.
First one didn't turn out very good. I don't remember why.
We did not. We
missed an ingredient.
No. We didn't beat it long enough to get the eggs. Yeah, it was just a fail.
Yeah, it
But the second one was
so good.
stunning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very good. We'd have
Yeah.
cheesecake.
Yeah. Come on, there's more than that. 15 years of doing this.
Well, no, we've had our own. I think our own good nights just together. I mean, we've had a lot. We've had a lot of. How about the night where we were in the process of building out our back patio in our house up in the Midwest, and we didn't have any. We only had some plastic chairs out there at that point, and we were drinking. We were into our second bottle of wine before we even got to dinner, and the glasses were broken. I think I might have fallen over, or one of our guests had fell back in the plastic chair.
Oh,
remember that?
Oh, and the fence was down.
Yeah.
Yes, you're right. We hadn't even finished.
And we were using some really nice big wine glasses.
Probably Riedels or something.
And he went back and
he just fell back in the chair.
and the glass shattered all over. It was dark, so you couldn't see where all the glass was. Oh my goodness.
That was before we ate.
We've had a number of steak and wine nights in the dark during football season, which have been fun.
Yeah.
We were sitting at the bar outside with the TV on, kids on the inside. We've had some good ones.
Yeah. Has there ever been a steak and wine night that just like took you down? Like you were just down for the count for days, for whatever reason?
I would say the nights where we have.
Because we kind of like to whine about things every now and then on this podcast.
Well, because it's a 2-day process.
Okay,
So
here we go.
it's a 2-day process, right? So you get up first thing in the morning, and we're talking about what's going to go on the menu, and then we got to go shop for the ingredients. By the time all that's done, you get back and you do your mise en place, you prepping everything, and now it's 2:00 in the afternoon, and we're on a time clock, right? So cocktails typically start at around 6:30. So that gives you about 4 or 5 hours to really prepare the meal, and you can't have it prepared in advance. You actually have to cook it sometimes when they're there. So it's extremely stressful, and being married to a trained chef, your perfection is the culinary side of our meal. So the ingredients and the preparation for it and the execution of it, and the stress that goes in from my point of view anyways, the stress of that, the time clock really is the big stress for me, which sometimes requires an edible to get through that 4 or 5 hour period.
You just told her you wanted to take an edible. Oh my God.
And then at some point we have to have a cocktail because things are getting tense. We've missed a few things. We've flubbed a few things before, but I think it's so you've got the preparation, then you've got everybody coming up, whether it's 2 people or 8 people, and then the next day you got to clean up. Yeah. So it's a 2-day. You can't clean up the night before. Even when we've hired a bartender and a chef. Sometimes
You hired a chef?
it was the one person that you brought in to help you. I forget her name, but
Oh no, that wasn't for steak and wine night.
was it?
No, that was for something else.
It's a 2-day process, so it's
The cleanup.
the cleanup.
So you're whining about the cleanup.
You clean up sticks. Yeah. There's never been.
And let me ask you something. Do you do the cleanup?
I do some of it.
Could you tell our audience who really does the cleanup?
You don't do all of it.
Oh, Darren. Okay, well.
You like to get up early and get it started. I try to finish it.
Oh.
I'm the closer.
No, you kind of do. You'll finish a few things.
Because it takes 4 rounds of dishwashing and putting the dishes away, and Sunday afternoon everything is done around lunchtime.
Yeah.
It's
Okay.
I would say there's never been a bad steak and wine. I mean, there's never been I enjoy the time when we actually start to sit down and entertain our guests and have a good conversation. Everything that leads up to with the minute before they arrive, literally the minute. When somebody has to greet people, either it's me or it's you. We're never ready together at the same time. There's a lot of stress that it goes back to the clock.
Well, that kind of links it. So as we're whining about this, think about the different spaces we've had to entertain in and how that differs. So wouldn't you say that our home in the Midwest, which is vastly different from our home down south, it allows us to entertain differently? I would say the stress is off. I would say the stress is different, but I want to know what you think. What
I think entertaining in a small space is definitely more challenging.
Yeah.
It is. When you have when you're working out of a 1,800 square foot bungalow,
in the kitchen.
and the kitchen is extremely small.
Yeah.
A lot of stress happens in that kitchen. A lot of love happens then too, but there's a lot of stress that goes on.
Because everyone goes to the kitchen. They
Right.
want to see what you're doing, and when you're in a bungalow, it's hard to feel.
You can't have 8 people in our kitchen in the Midwest. You can't do it. It's not enough space.
So everyone's hanging out in the kitchen, and they're having cocktails and drinking while they're watching you cook, and you're going to the back door to grill and
in and out of the back door.
Yeah.
This is really difficult. Or they're in the living room where one of us is entertaining while the other one's
right.
cooking, right?
Right.
Versus our home.
But here's the thing. So for people that are living in bungalows, which there's millions of people that do, or have small spaces, the tag team is what works.
It has to work.
Yeah.
It's extremely important.
You got a tag team with your host if you're doing something like steak and wine night or
And
whatever.
you got to set the boundaries on who's doing what
Yep.
and when,
Yep.
and only do you offer help when help is being asked for. Right.
That's a very diplomatic way of putting that. Yes, sure.
By the way, I would say that we've been hosted at other homes where, I mean, we just went to one over the holidays where, the meal that they prepared for us was bought.
Yes.
And you don't have to prepare your own meal.
Yeah.
You can do it any way you want to. So we sit here and we do this because it's our love for cooking in the kitchen, right? We believe that a lot of love is in the kitchen. That's where most of our time is spent. She's a trained chef. She loves to cook. I enjoy watching and learning, from that. But I got no problem having somebody entertain me at their home and, slapping out a plate that they bought from a grocery store, or somebody have it catered or whatever, because it's less about the food and more about the conversation and the connection that you get from the people you're talking to. So it's really important for people to understand, from your point of view anyways, in Sun Cookery, is that hosting can be anything you want it to be. The most important part of it, though, is the conversation that happens over the meal or over whatever it is that you're doing at that time. Yeah, you got to do what you're comfortable with and what you're able to execute. And if that means the only thing you've got is to be able to call somebody and order something and have it delivered, so be it.
Yeah. That's well said.
Thank you.
Very well said. No, you're right. I love that particular holiday get together. Actually, I really did, because I love that they were just with us the whole time.
Mm-hmm.
It was nice, and they were like, "Look, I don't cook, but we got this great meal at such and such grocery store, and it's our favorite," and we loved it. We chatted. Their kids joined us. It was so much fun. She had decorated not only was the home decorated for Christmas, but she had went to all this trouble to decorate the table, and it was so beautiful.
Yeah, no, it really was.
And that part made us feel special. I agree with you. I could care less about the food. It was more that I could tell they put some extra time to just make it special, and they did them. It was great.
Not only that, but you got to remember it was midweek, so it was like a Wednesday or a Thursday.
Yeah, we had to get together.
and things had to be done the next day, right? So work and school and all that stuff. So we always spent a couple of hours with them, but what they did was they maximized the time
They did.
with us,
Yeah.
and they spent less time on the meat.
I hope we thanked them properly.
I think we did.
Well, that's a perfect way to summarize this Suppers and Stories podcast about steak and wine night. And so thank you,
welcome.
my husband, for being here, being a guest on the show.
Happy to be here.
You're very
Please welcome me back again.
You're welcome anytime.
Thank you.
So I hope if you guys made it this far in the podcast, which I hope you did, you're inspired and you feel comfortable and ready to just create your own weekly get together. Like we said, it could be vegan and edible night. You do you, but commit to it. Commit to the connection with your family, with your friends, with your significant other, with your whatever your community is. Commit to that every week, and I really believe it'll make a difference in your life, and that's really what we're about on this podcast. Suppers and soirees. It can be as simple as a little supper or as fancy as a soiree, whatever makes sense for you. So make sure you please share this podcast with someone that you love, or someone near and dear to you, or maybe someone who's just feeling kind of alone right now, and maybe this will inspire them to to kind of get their toes, dip their toes in the water when it comes to hosting. And find us on Instagram, on Facebook at Sun Cookery. Go to suncookery.com. You know that Sun Cookery has these lovely hosting collections. We are so excited about them. We have some very specific collections. We have some for the dining room. We call them our Dine and Gather collection. We have some that are like for those fireside moments, and it's called our Fireside collection. And we have one for porches and patios. So if you're more of a person who likes to entertain on your porch or your patio, take a look at those collections. So thank you, Darren.
Pick up the phone and call somebody.
I feel like I should kiss him or something, but I'm not going to. We'll keep the PDA to ourselves. Okay, thanks for listening, everyone. We'll see you next time on our next Suppers and Soirees, where we host for connection, not perfection. I'm Michelle Mize, your host and the founder of Sun Cookery. Bye, y'all.